Hello. Today I'd like to talk about a little bit of an automation, workflow automation, using Relay.app, which has to do with my Icon web app for one-on-one video calls. And so, even though this piece is not mandatory, if you wanted to send email with the link to Icon, let's say you're a host, you're starting a video meeting, you copy the link, and then you need to get it to the guest. So one way you can do it using a chat, another way you can use it in text, but sometimes you want to send email. And the challenge with this thing is this, that I can create an email, but I don't know what the email address is of the person I'm meeting with. I mean, not off the top of my head. So I have to go and get it from the calendar event and copy it. So I have a copy of it and then paste it in the email and all of that kind of good stuff. Create the email with all the content, everything else. Then I have to go into actually starting Icon to be able to generate this link for them. And I'm not going to have it until I actually launch Icon itself. And then basically I'll just show you what the process is. Let's say we went to the calendar and we'll set up a hypothetical event. Let's see, let's do right now. It's 6:50 roughly, so let's call it Icon test, and we'll send it to, we'll start at 6:45, close enough. And so you have your calendar event, everything is done. So when the time comes close to the event, that's where I want to send this email to the person saying, here is a link for you to be able to get into the meeting. To do that, I need to get the link. So let's go through the process. First part of the process would be to go to the calendar and click on the event. And then I can see there's the person I'm meeting with, so I can click on edit. And then I grab their email address by clicking and copy next to email address. And then I go back to my email and I create an email and I indicate this is going to be going to, I paste the email address. You can see it's a bunch of hassle basically to go through all this. And then this is our meeting link. And of course I don't have the link because the only way I can get a link is by starting Icon, and then I would grab the link from there and then I would paste it here and I would send it. And so anyway, you can see it's a bunch of steps and a little bit of a hassle. So the better way, or the easier way to do it, I should say, is using some automation. So let's go to Relay.app. And then over here, I pulled up this Icon host automation to show you what's going on. You can see it's very short. It's not anything incredible. And basically what it does is the following. It says, the first thing it's going to do, it says find calendar event for the meeting. So it's going to go to the calendar and get that email for me by itself. And then it's going to create a draft email for me with needed information in it. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through the motions here to show you exactly what's happening. I grabbed a quick Icon link, which doesn't work anymore, but it'll give you an idea. And so the step would be a person would run the Icon program, then they copy the link, and then they run this process here. And so you just go here and we say, run this thing, and it comes right there, and we just start manual run. And so we just do one click, run it, and it goes through, does all the job, and now it's done. So as you can see, it took 2 steps. It's not using any AI credits, so it's very, very minimal in terms of resources. And then if we go back to Gmail and we actually look at the drafts folder, the very first email is going to be the one that just generated. It says, here is the link to our Icon meeting. It says, hello, please use this invite link. And this is where I click and then hit the paste to put the link in there. So it looks like that. And it says, thanks, looking forward to talking to you. A bunch of other stuff, link to my website. So basically all the stuff that normally I would have to enter manually is already pre-done. All I do is just simply paste the link I need in there and I click send. And so then the guest from my Icon meeting gets this, they click on the link and it takes them right to the session and then we start talking. So it's not mandatory for this. Obviously I could do it by just simply pasting the link into like chat for them or sending them a text, or even if I wanted to do email, I could just send them the link with just email, having nothing but the link in there. I mean, all of this is doable, all of this would work. But this is a little bit nicer, especially for people who've never used Icon, and it's more professional and so on. So that's kind of an automation thing. Now let's go back and just see exactly how am I doing this. Let's go through and see what happens here. So the first thing is says triggered manually by Olex. So we start it up by manually triggering to run this particular automation. Simple enough. Next thing that happens is it says find calendar event for the meeting. So if you click on it, you can see it's a step using Google Calendar, which is what I'm using here. Okay, and it's using my primary calendar called main, because that's what I told it to use. When you use Relay.app, you can tie various apps and you indicate what's what in terms of calendar. For example, which calendar is your main calendar that you want to be using. And then it says events to return, and it's returning a single event. I don't want multiple events. And then over here it says identify the event, define the fields. So what I'm trying to say is basically give it criteria of how to find what I'm looking for. And I'm saying look for something where start date and time is 10 minutes before the current date. It's going to start looking for an event 10 minutes before now. Of course, I can change it to be anything I want. I can do 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever I want. But in my case, I usually do 10 minutes. Okay, and there's additional criteria you can add, but I don't care. All I want is I wanted to look for the calendar event that's within 10 minutes of current time. Okay? And it says behavior, decide what Relay app should do. So I'm saying if no events are found, pause, run, send notification that it basically failed. And if it's finding more than one event, then just pick the first one. And most of the time, since you're setting up a meeting, it's not going to be an issue. Okay? And so what you can do is you can actually test this step to see what transpires as you set these things up. That's basically the part that deals with calendar and getting our event and getting the email address from there. It's basically grabbing everything that's in that event and passing it to the next step, which is the step 3. It says create draft email. And if we click on that particular step, we can see it says create draft Gmail draft email, meaning it's not going to send it, it's just going to create it. It says it's going to send it from me, which is fine. And you can indicate what address you want if it's not your own address. It says include send as Gmail signature. No, I don't need any send as signature. And I want this to go to email address from the first element, it says, of the calendar event. So see up here, it shows calendar event guest first element email. So it's a little bit kind of weird the way they show it, but essentially what it's saying is we're going to be pulling email directly from email address that we pulled from the calendar, which was done in step 2. So step 2 was to get information from the calendar, and then we're basically putting the email address from there into the to field for this new draft email. We're not putting anything in CC or BCC. We could if we wanted to. We're not assigning any labels. And then the subject is going to be, here is a link to our icon meeting. So obviously we can make it anything we want, but this is totally fine. And then over here, this is where my text comes in. Hello, please use this invite link. And this is where I paste the link. Thanks and looking forward to talking to you, and so on and so forth. So a nice little message there, my signature. So that's the body of the email is going to go in this particular case. And then after that's done, basically we're done. So just, in other words, we're just grabbing email address from the calendar and we're stuffing that email address into a brand new message in Gmail, but we're not sending it. We're just keeping it there because I still need to enter the actual invite link here once I start icon itself. So I run this process, it generates the email, I go ahead, grab the icon link from icon, and I paste it into the email, and I send it, and then the person is able to get in using that. So that's a simple example of how you can automate some things and create a simple workflow with relative ease. I mean, it's just a couple of steps. You can see it runs really quickly, does the job, works really well. So that's kind of how the Relay app works, is you add steps, and then in these steps they let you do all kinds of stuff with different apps, with AI. You can do various things with flow control. I'm just trying to keep it really simple because it does a lot of different things. But usually what you do is you connect with some kind of app. Like if you select apps, it says what app do you want to connect to. And then let's say you type in email, and there's Gmail, or you can also type Gmail if you want. And then within Gmail, you have send email, add label to email, send email and wait for the reply, archive email. So they have all these subcategories of things you can select in terms of what you can do, for example, with the email capabilities. And if you type in calendar, it'll give you a bunch of different options for calendars, what you can do with calendars. And so you just simply add these steps, and then you identify which piece of data is coming from a prior step. It doesn't have to be from the prior specifically, it could be a few steps back. But the idea being anything that you grab as a step, whatever data is there for you to use, you can then use that data anywhere going down. And the script is run from beginning to the end. It starts at the top and just goes step by step by step by step. And as you can see, you can insert additional steps between the existing steps. You can have as many steps as you want. Obviously, the more steps you have, the longer it'll take. If you're dealing with AI, for example, so if you're using something like, say, AI, then you can actually enter a prompt. It says prompt any model. They have a bunch of models that they support, and all the latest stuff is there. And it's only a question of how much do you want to pay. You get certain AI credits with the Relay.app account, but once you run out, you have to use your own. And so to use your own, some of them are more expensive, some less expensive. So they show you pricing level of these different AI models you can use, and you get to choose one, or you let them choose one, whatever you want, and then you can prompt it like you would normally prompt any LLM, and then you can extract data from it. You can have it summarize things, classify things. You can have it create text. You can translate things. It does a beautiful job translating. You can extract information from a website using AI, transcribe audio, text to speech. It's pretty compelling in terms of what you can do with AI through Relay.app. And so then you tie all these different pieces together and you're creating a workflow. One more thing I will say before I finish up here is it's not creating agents here, okay? It doesn't have that kind of capability. Some people say it is like an agent, and some parts of it are. But to me, agent is something that has its own brain, if you will, that knows how to do things and how to think about things. In other words, you don't guide it with step-by-step instructions, which is what this is. You just simply give it a job, and it goes ahead and figures out what steps it needs to do to take care of it. That's an agent that actually figures all this stuff out, and he's talking to other agents, and they work collaboratively and they work separately. That's an actual AI agent. What this is, there is a number of programs like this. It actually is just automation workflow. It's not an agent. So that's the difference. Some people kind of mix these words together, that this is an agent, this is an automation workflow. Two different things, okay? The agents are a lot smarter, a lot more capable than simple workflows that always do the same thing pretty much. But when you add AI into the mix, it's not just a simple following directions. You can actually ask AI to do these different things that make it look like an agent. So it's kind of like semi-agent, but it's actually automated workflow. Okay, with that said, I hope that you find this useful. I know this is just a kind of brief, tiny little intro into Relay.app to show you a simple example of something you could do that could be very useful with just a couple of steps. If you have any questions, drop them down below. If you want to see a more detailed tutorial on using Relay.app and automating things, feel free to also leave a comment. And if you have some specific things you'd like to be able to figure out how to do using this kind of automation, just let me know and we'll put together a video and show you exactly how to do it. If you need something like this for your business, then also feel free to reach out, and that's one of the things that PCS does, is handling automation setups for businesses. If you want to get into a one-on-one call with me using Icon, that's certainly doable. There is a link down below. And until next time, I'm Oleg. Happy Memorial Day. With a gentle spark, dreams assisted by machine art, patterns flow like a river stream, moments captured in a dream.